Perception, the process by which we interpret and understand sensory information, is often assumed to be a mirror reflecting the objective world. However, this assumption overlooks the crucial role of the perceiver in actively constructing their own reality. The psychology of perception can be defined as a discipline that seeks to understand how our senses respond to stimuli and how those responses are shaped by individual factors. 1. In essence, what we perceive is not simply a product of the external world but a dynamic interplay between external stimuli and internal frameworks. This report delves into the fascinating world of perception, arguing that it is an inherently subjective process, meaning that no one can fully control how others see them. The way others perceive us is a reflection of their own experiences, biases, and the incomplete data they gather, not an objective assessment of our true selves. The subjectivity of perception. Cognitive psychology provides compelling evidence for the subjective nature of perception. Our minds are not passive recipients of information but active interpreters, constantly filtering and shaping sensory input through the lens of past experiences, beliefs, and biases too. As William James eloquently stated, perception thus differs from sensation by the consciousness of other facts associated with the object of the sensation. This means that our perceptions are not simply raw sensory data but are imbued with meaning and associations derived from our individual histories. Consider, for example, the phenomenon of confirmation bias. This cognitive bias leads us to hover information that confirms our existing beliefs, while conveniently overlooking contradictory evidence. 4. Imagine two people watching a political debate. One person, a staunch supporter of candidate A, may perceive candidate A's arguments as clear, concise, and convincing, while dismissing candidate B's points as illogical and misleading. The other person, a supporter of candidate B, may have the exact opposite perception. This illustrates how confirmation bias can shape our interpretation of events, leading to vastly different perceptions of the same reality. The halo effect is another example of how our cognitive biases influence perception. This effect causes us to generalize from one positive trait to an overall positive impression. For instance, if we perceive someone as physically attractive, we may also assume they are intelligent, kind, and trustworthy, even though there is no logical basis for this assumption. The halo effect can be seen in action in the workplace, where attractive individuals are often perceived as more competent and successful, regardless of their actual performance. 5. Furthermore, research has shown that individual experiences play a crucial role in shaping perception. 6. Our personal histories, cultural backgrounds, and social interactions mold the lens through which we view the world. 7. Studies have demonstrated that individuals who have experienced trauma, for example, may perceive ambiguous situations as more threatening. 5. A sudden loud noise might trigger a fear response in someone who has been in a car accident, while someone else might simply perceive it as an annoyance. Similarly, those who have grown up in collectivist cultures may be more attuned to social cues and group dynamics, while those from individualistic cultures may prioritize personal autonomy and independence. It is important to acknowledge that even the study of perception itself is not immune to subjectivity. Researchers despite their best efforts to maintain objectivity, are still influenced by their own experiences, beliefs, and theoretical frameworks. This inherent subjectivity in research highlights the pervasive nature of individual interpretation and the challenges of achieving truly objective knowledge. To further illustrate the impact of personal history on perception, consider the emotional responses of visitors to dark heritage sites, such as former concentration camps or war memorials. 9. These sites evoke a range of emotions including sadness, anger, and even guilt. Depending on the visitor's personal background and connection to the historical events, someone with a family history of persecution may experience a profound sense of grief and loss, while someone with no direct connection to the events may feel a more detached sense of sadness or reflection. This example demonstrates how personal experiences shape not only our cognitive interpretations, but also our emotional responses to the world around us. Adding another layer to the complexity of perception is the concept of perceptual history. Our past experiences, both recent and long-term, leave a lasting imprint on our perceptual systems. This means that our current perceptions are not only influenced by our current context but also by a lifetime of accumulated experiences. For example, a musician may perceive subtle nuances in a piece of music that a non-musician would miss, due to their extensive experience with musical patterns and structures. Finally, it is crucial to recognize the dynamic nature of perception. Our interpretations aren't static but constantly evolving in response to new information and experiences. Temporal context, in particular, plays a significant role in shaping our perceptions. 11. For instance, if we are exposed to a series of images with a particular color scheme, our perception of subsequent images may be influenced by that prior exposure. This phenomenon, known as adaptation, demonstrates how our perceptual systems adjust to the environment, constantly recalibrating our interpretations based on recent experiences. The illusion of control. Given the inherent subjectivity of perception, the notion that we can fully control how others see us is an illusion. While we may attempt to manage our outward appearance and behavior, the interpretation of those actions remains in the eye of the beholder. 8. This is not to say that our actions are meaningless or that we should abandon all attempts at self-presentation. However, it is crucial to recognize the limitations of our control and the inherent subjectivity of how others perceive us. Attribution theory, a cornerstone of social psychology, provides a framework for understanding how individuals interpret the causes of behavior. 12. It distinguishes between internal attributions, which ascribe behavior to personal traits, and external attributions, which attribute behavior to ourselves genuinely, regardless of external judgment. Authenticity is not about being perfect or seeking approval from others. It is about embracing our imperfections, acknowledging our vulnerabilities, and expressing our true thoughts and feelings. 20. It is about bringing our whole self to our interactions, rather than putting on a facade to please others. Viktor Frankl, a prominent existential psychologist, argued that the search for meaning is a fundamental human drive. 21. He believed that even in the face of suffering and adversity, individuals can find meaning and purpose by living authentically. 22. Frankl's own experiences in Nazi concentration camps taught him that even in the most dire circumstances, individuals have the freedom to choose their attitude and find meaning in their lives. Positive psychology echoes this sentiment, suggesting that authenticity is a key component of well-being in personal growth. 23. Studies have shown that authentic individuals tend to experience greater happiness, self-esteem, and life satisfaction. 16. They also report having more fulfilling relationships and a stronger sense of purpose. As Neil Pasricha, author of the blog 1000 Awesome Things, explains, I think when you're authentic you end up following your heart. And you put yourself in places and situations and in conversations that you love and that you enjoy. You meet people that you like talking to. You go places you've dreamt about. And you end up following your heart and feeling very fulfilled. 23. In contrast to the existential emphasis on authenticity, behaviorism views subjective experience as a mere reflection of adjustment problems, best addressed by changing behavior. 24. This approach focuses on modifying observable behaviors through conditioning and reinforcement, rather than exploring the inner world of the individual. While behaviorism has made significant contributions to our understanding of learning and behavior change, it overlooks the crucial role of subjective experience in shaping our perceptions and motivations. Interestingly, even tourism activities can be a pathway to pursuing authenticity. 25. Travel can provide opportunities for self-discovery, allowing individuals to step outside their comfort zones and encounter new perspectives. By immersing ourselves in different cultures and environments, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Conclusion. The psychology of perception reveals a profound truth: the way others see us is ultimately a reflection of their own subjective reality. While we may influence their perceptions to some extent, we cannot control them entirely. 8. The pursuit of external validation is a futile endeavor as it hinges on the ever-shifting sands of individual interpretation. 18. Instead, the path to inner peace and genuine connection lies in embracing authenticity. By living in accordance with our true selves, we liberate ourselves from the tyranny of external judgment and cultivate a deep sense of self-acceptance. As the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard wisely observed, to be that self which one truly is indeed the opposite of despair. 18. In a world of distorted perceptions, authenticity is the only true measure of our being. Furthermore, authenticity allows us to let go of the need to control others' perceptions and find peace with the subjective nature of reality. By accepting that perception is an inherently individual process, we can free ourselves from the burden of seeking external validation and focus on living a life that is true to our own values. And experience trauma, for example, may perceive ambiguous situations as more threatening. 5. A sudden loud noise might trigger a fear response in someone who has been in a car accident, while someone else might simply perceive it as an annoyance. Similarly, those who have grown up in collectivist cultures may be more attuned to social cues and group